Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. Is Nigel here once again. This video is a compilation and in a way, if you want to call it that, of my review of the entire Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy. Now, I just reviewed the final game in the original Phoenix Wright trilogy, that being Trials and Tribulation, and that just came out last week, I believe. Yep, on the 8th. That came out last week. And so, after much thought and much deliberating on it, I decided I would put together all three of those reviews into one video. So, if you missed those reviews, any of the three, and you wanted to get caught up and check them out, or if you already watched them but wanted to watch them in a cohesive compilations type format, this video essentially is here to fulfill that purpose. As of course, the original reviews will still be on the channel, so if you want to check those out on their own, you still can. But this way, it kind of makes it easier for you guys to check out if you missed any of the reviews in the Ace Attorney trilogy. But also, you may be wondering, Nigel, you've done reviews for a lot of series within movies and video games and even wrestling matches. Are you going to do your final analysis? It's like you've done for the others. The answer to that is I don't know yet. I admittedly don't know yet. I thought about it. It would be cool. It would be fun. I don't know if I want to do it based off the original trilogy or wait until I play the other Phoenix Wright games, such as the Apollo Justice games, or the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, or even the crossover that Phoenix Wright did with Professor Layton. So admittedly, for lack of a better term, no pun intended, the jury is still out. But if I do, at least for the original trilogy, then it'll probably happen within the next couple of weeks. But I'm not entirely sure yet, so don't quote me on that just yet. It's still TBD. But in the meantime, I do hope you enjoy this compilation in a way, and of course, if you do going to enjoy, please do me a favor, as per usual, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on the post notifications, all that good stuff, and yeah, let's get right into it.
Alright. Hey, hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here, and this is another review. And this time we are reviewing Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. So, first things first, right off the bat. First of all, I am not a professional video game reviewer, just a man who enjoys a good time, and I definitely had a good time playing this game. But the other thing is that this is courtesy of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney mini trilogy well, I have it for PS4, but it's for other platforms such as Xbox, I believe, as well as Nintendo 3DS and Nintendo Switch. But I have it for my PS4, and it comes with 3 Phoenix Wright games, which is Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, the first one, then Justice for All, and Trials and Tribulation. So, obviously, what we gotta do, we gotta review all 3, and we may even do, we're gonna do a retrospective for the Phoenix Wright trilogy. There is a prequel game out there, starring one of Phoenix Wright's ancestors, which we may also look at and see if that's available for PS4 as well. But Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, a game that I've heard referenced several times in other stuff. One of the notable ones was in the Henry Stickmin game, Escaping the Prison, where you can have a lawyer. One of the endings you can get is a lawyer bailing you out, and it's Phoenix Wright, and they make the jokes like the evidence and the objection, stuff like that. I didn't really quite know what it meant, and I've heard a lot of people reference objection and stuff like that in regards to Phoenix Wright. And Obviously, Phoenix Wright, a playable character in the Marvel vs. Capcom games. More specifically, the one I remember him from is Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which I wonder when Marvel vs. Capcom is going to be making a return. And I know Infinite kind of flopped a little bit, but I want to see how they do now that Marvel has like more of the rights to more of their own characters, and it's not like dispersed with like other studios and stuff. But nevertheless, Phoenix Wright. Now that I've actually played it, I get a lot of the jokes and stuff like that. And like I said, it's a pretty fun game for the most part. But for those of you who have seen these types of videos before, from me, you kind of already know what to expect from them. But for those who aren't really aware, who don't really watch these sorts of things from me, I'm pretty much going to be talking about what I like and what I dislike. And I'll admit, I'm not a man who's hard to please. I'm very easy to please. Just give me a good time. Even if it's like a bad game, which this is not by any means, just give me a good time and I will have a good time with it. And like I said, I definitely had a good time with this one because it's a game with quite a lot going for it. And so we're going to be talking about what I liked and what I disliked about the game. But for starters, what I liked is pretty much, it's a premise that I feel like I almost wouldn't be interested in, like legal stuff and everything like that, but they actually make it interesting. There's investigation stuff you can do where you can talk to different people and go to different environments and look for clues and stuff like that and see how they link up to your defendant, and you can defend them in court using the evidence you've gathered. So a little bit of a detective work from Mr. Phoenix Wright there. There's some humor thrown in. There's some serious moments as well. Oh, there's a great narrative throughout, and the episodes, which there's 5 of them in total. There's 4 in like the main game, and then there was like a bonus episode, which was, I believe, an exclusive to the game, to I believe either Nintendo DS or one of the Game Boy ports. But they're all interconnected, and it's all one big narrative throughout, even though it's different cases. They reference other cases, and it all fits into one big narrative, which is really cool to see how they're not just like 4 separate cases, or in this case 5 separate cases, and then they're just unrelated and everything. No, for the most part, they're pretty much related. Phoenix, of course, does have the mannerisms, which does make him a pretty endearing character. He's not like overly cocky or like overly timid and everything. He acts like a normal person, and he's trying to get the truth and justice and everything. He's not underhanded. He's usually pretty level-headed, but he does get embarrassed sometimes. He gets flustered sometimes, and things do feel hopeless for him, but he always manages to bounce back, which I think fits in the name of like the Phoenix, how the Phoenix rises from the ashes and everything, according to the mythos. So Phoenix right here is doing the same thing. When the chips are down and it seems like nothing's going his way, all of a sudden he pulls out the wild card and ends up winning the cases. And the judge always references how Phoenix pulls off miracles and everything. And the characters that you're able to interact with are all fun and different in terms of like the personas and everything. And some of them you'll like, some of them you'll dislike. And then some of them you'll probably feel indifferent towards. At first, Phoenix is accompanied by Mia, who's chief of police, but she is murdered. So instead, her younger sister Maya ends up kind of being Phoenix's assistant and everything, kind of like his sidekick and everything. As the game goes on, but then she ends up leaving as well to continue her training as a spirit medium, which she uses to be able to not only communicate but channel her older sister Mia to help you out with cases and everything like that. No joke. In like the second episode, I should say, she literally saves the case for you. you're literally about to lose, and then she literally swoops in and gets a confession out of the guy, because that's the case where Mia ends up being murdered. So she literally gets that confession out of that guy. Yeah, for the most part, a lot of fun, and the clues may not make sense at first, but then you remember her. This and this, how this clue could relate, and then sure enough, you use the clues put together to solve the cases and everything. And in terms of legal accuracy, I've looked up the legal accuracy, and it's kind of inaccurate, but it's fancy and everything. But there is some stuff they do kind of get right, but there is stuff that they get wrong. And obviously there's stuff that's very exaggerated because, you know, it's a video game and everything. It's supposed to be for entertainment purposes and stuff like that, so it's not going to be 100% in terms of accuracy and stuff like that. But it is still pretty fun. Excuse me. And I like how Phoenix, like I said, is like a normal person. So he feels emotions, he feels hopeless, he feels happy and stuff. And things are kind of from like a first-person perspective, and it's more like point-and-click perspective. But then when you get to the actual courtroom, you can see Phoenix's character model, and he has a lot of expressions, and a lot of characters do. They have expressions for when they're flustered, for when they're angry, for when they're happy, for when they've caught their opponent on one of the lies they're telling and everything. And I do like how there's a first episode where it's kind of like training wheels, where Mia kind of helps you out and you figure out the case and everything, and you prove that your defendant is not guilty. But then the rest of them, the training wheels are off, and you gotta figure things out for yourself. And even like the fifth episode, there's a lot more interaction. You actually have tools and stuff you can interact with in your environment to find more clues, and you can actually see a lot of the models and stuff for the items that you carry in your case record that you can use in court, right? So you can examine them and find like extra clues and stuff like that. So a lot of interconnected stuff in the game, and it's really good, and it really makes things feel important. A piece of evidence that you thought may not have been important all of a sudden ends up becoming very important as time goes on. And yeah, so a lot of that interconnectivity, which really makes the game stand out and really plays into the narrative. And honestly, the stuff I'm talking about when it comes to this game really doesn't do it justice, because as the game presents it in a very fun, very interesting manner. So I will get to what I didn't really like about the game, but yeah, definitely go check it out. Oh, and like I said, there is only 5 episodes to the game, but the episodes are, for the most part, pretty lengthy, which is also kind of one thing that I didn't really like, is how the episodes, some of them do feel kind of long in the tooth, where some of them are, like, extended out, and it's like, wow, this episode's still going, and it's, like, still going on, yeah, sometimes it could feel a little elongated in terms of that, a little long in the tooth, a little, well, not too long, like, okay, this episode's still going on, is it almost over, and stuff like that, and oftentimes the court record does get filled pretty quickly with evidence, and unfortunately quite a bit of it you don't actually end up using at all, but it is nice to collect the clues at least in terms of that. But overall, the game, like I said, lots of fun. Definitely recommend checking it out. If you're someone who likes the point-and-click style, or you like puzzle type things, or like a mystery type game, then I definitely recommend this game. I did seek out some help on some stuff, because some stuff did kind of stump me a little bit, but it just goes to show how smart this game is. And definitely worth a play, and I can't wait to continue the Phoenix Wright trilogy. I want to see where things go from here. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you guys' thoughts are, not only on my review, but if you played the Phoenix Wright game, let me know what your thoughts are. If you did enjoy this video, please do me a favor and like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload, and so you can see it right away as it becomes available to watch. And I will see you guys later. Peace.
Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another video game room. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to step back into the courtroom once again, so get your spiky hair gel and flash your badges to people. Oh, it's time for Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All, the sequel to Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, which I reviewed some months ago, so if you haven't already, go check out that review. But as always, I'm not a professional video game reviewer or video game analyst or anything like that, just a man who enjoys a good time, and I definitely, for the most part, had a pretty good time with this one. Now, the thing about sequels is that they can be a little tricky sometimes. Like, the stigma with a lot of sequels is that they aren't always as good as the originals. And in very rare cases is it for a sequel to be as good as the original, or in even rarer case for it to be better than the original. So where does Phoenix Wright, hey, Ace Attorney, Justice for All fall on the scale? Well, I still haven't really decided yet. I actually just finished it like a matter of moments ago before I hooked up my equipment here to record. But yeah, so definitely interesting this time around. So, like I said, we step into the courtroom once again with Phoenix Wright, and yeah. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So for those who've seen reviews like these before from me, you kind of already know how this works. For those of you who haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and what I disliked about the game. So, what I liked is that, for starters, pretty much everything from the previous game, for the most part, aside from one or two things, is pretty much carried over into this game. Like, so the art style, most of the soundtracks, the characters and their respective charm, and the humor and stuff, carried over from the first game to the next game, and that is usually a good sign. If it's something, well, the reason I say usually is because sometimes there's stuff that you didn't want from the first game, and to come over to the sequel here. But if there's something that works, then carrying it over to the next game is beneficial. But otherwise, things are pretty much the same. Going around investigating, do some investigating of your own, in order to find all the necessary clues and everything needed to prove that your client is innocent, for the most part, and we'll get to why. But yeah. So you go around, you do your own investigating, finding pretty much every single thing you can in order to prove the innocence of your clients, and aside from an exception, which we'll get to, like I said. But that's essentially the name of the game. And then you go to court and presenting all the evidence and pretty much making the counterclaims against the prosecution in order to prove your client's innocence. And so, this time around, you don't always battle Miles Edgeworth, or then Miles Edgeworth is actually gone for a period of the game, which we'll definitely get to. But otherwise, you battle the same lawyer you did in your kind of tutorial case that you did in the first game, but you also this time battle a new prosecutor, and that being Franziska von Karma, the daughter of Manfred von Karma. If you remember from Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Manfred von Karma, the man who trained Miles Edgeworth, or taught him everything that Edgeworth knows, and was the prosecutor that you battle against, and in order to prove Miles Edgeworth's innocence in the second to last case, technically the last case, but then
and second to last in the version that I played, which was the Ace Attorney collection, the Ace Attorney trilogy, I should say, on my PS4. But nevertheless, his daughter's there, and she got a whip, and she's definitely not afraid to use it, leading to some hilarious moments. And people rightfully pointed out she'd definitely be held in contempt of court for going around whipping everybody, especially during the trial. But it's fiction, so what are you gonna do? But otherwise, being able to battle her, and we see the narrative and how it progresses. A major new character is introduced, who's that being Pearl Faye, who is like the cousin of Maya and Mia Faye, but her nickname is Pearls, and she has a new mechanic that's introduced in the game that she gives you, and that's the Magmata, which allows you to unlock psych locks. Which once you unlock these psych locks, for a character, you can have further dialogue with them to get more information about the case and the secrets that the characters are hiding. And the way it's done is kind of similar to how they do in like the courtroom segments in the game, which is nice for consistency's sake. But it is not nice that they have that there, and it's not like something that's it's not something that really drags the game down or is like really annoying to use. You use it a few times throughout. It's introduced in the second case when you meet Pearls. It's introduced in the second case, and then use it for not only that case, but then the third and fourth cases as well. And like I said, the narrative, it was really strong. Not just as typical stuff that Phoenix goes through, proving his client's innocence, but what happens when his client actually is the guilty one, and we find out about that. Oops, sorry about my light; it's gonna probably flicker in and out sometime, but we actually find out about that in the last one because our client is actually guilty. But for starters, we don't find that out until pretty late into the case. But also the way it's done as the twist is really cool. The fact that he's in cahoots with the person who kidnapped Maya, which Maya got kidnapped, and now you essentially have to work with Miles Edgeworth, who takes over as prosecutor after Von Karma is shot in the arm, so being consistent with her dad. But you have to essentially work with Miles Edgeworth to get this guy the guilty verdict. And Phoenix essentially has the choice to make because the conditions of both his client, which is Matt on guard, or the conditions of him and the assassin he hired to kill the victim, is that if Matt on guard is found guilty, then Maya will be killed essentially, because the person Matt hired was an assassin and a hitman, if you will. And so you have the choice to make. And when the twist happens that that Matt really is found guilty, then the stakes are really raised, and things really pick up from there, especially in the fierce court battle afterwards. But then the loop around is found where it turns out Matt was going to blackmail the assassin, and so he pretty much used that in order to save Maya and get the guilty verdict for Matt on guard, as now the assassin is coming after him. At least that's the good ending, because apparently there are two endings for the game. The bad ending is Matt gets the not guilty one. But I did find out how to get the good ending, so I got the good ending. But otherwise, it's interesting that they put that twist in there, and I think it really helps with dimensions. Not just of Phoenix Wright's character, not just of Miles Edgeworth's character, but being a lawyer, essentially being guilty versus innocent, and essentially, Phoenix was kind of looking at it in an obtuse way. If that makes any sense, where there is kind of one worldview where the prosecutors are evil and then the defense is good, but that essentially gets flipped on its head, where they're both trying to essentially fulfill their roles, where the prosecutor is trying to prove that the person is guilty, the defense is trying to prove that the person is not guilty, and both are essentially trying to seek justice. And that is the important lesson that Phoenix Wright learns, and he learns that by having to team up with Miles Edgeworth, uh, which is a really cool way of going about how things. And I think that plot point was really well done, and we see the kind of relationship explored between in Francisca Von Karma and Miles Edgeworth, which makes sense because on Karma. Francisco Von Karma was Manfred Von Karma's daughter, and Miles Edgeworth was his protege. So there's a bit of a relationship there, and how it's explored and everything, I think, is very well done. And so really good stuff all throughout when it comes to this game. In terms of what I didn't really like as much, for starters, it's not like the first Ace Attorney game. There is no bonus episode this time around. This one is just 4 cases, and that's it. It it which I guess is consistent because technically the first one is 4 cases, and then it had the bonus episode which they included in the Ace Attorney trilogy. But here's just the 4 episodes. Them having a fifth episode, although I don't think that's necessarily on the fault of the fault of the trilogy per se. It's because they can't put a fourth episode. They can't put a fifth episode in. I'm sorry, because there is no fifth episode. So hashtag there is no secret ingredient. Yeah, there really is no secret ingredient. There's no fifth episode. But but it only being 4 episodes as opposed to the other 5 does kind of suck. The other thing is that some of the music choices being changed up, I didn't like as much. Like when you do like the cross examine and stuff, they kind of changed up that music, which I didn't like as much as I did in Ace Attorney. That one, I went like this one, in my opinion, seems a bit softer and a bit more upbeat, which I imagine some people are probably a fan of, and it's subjective. It's probably not my cup of tea, but otherwise, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of it. And some of the characters are a bit troublesome, and even Phoenix's personality, the fact that he essentially his reaction to Miles Edgeworth potentially unaliving himself is ooh, wow, this is kind of harsh from Phoenix, saying like pretty much boiling down to good riddance, which that is messed up from Phoenix. And then from the third case, the Turnabout Big Top, where you're in the circus and everything. A lot of people don't really like that case, and maybe it has something to do with the fact that there's a little bit of pedo undertones. I'm not gonna delve too much into it. I think I've already spoiled enough from the game, but yeah, yikes. But otherwise, it's still a really solid game, a really solid entry. So we still have one more in the trilogy that I have, which is Trials and Tribulations, and let's see if I can explore even more of the series from there. I know they had the crossover with Professor Layton. I know they had the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, which is kind of like a prequel. Well, so I definitely want to check those out, perhaps. But let me know in the comments if you guys would be interested in me checking those out. But nevertheless, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the game and my review. Did you like to select the game? Did you like to select my review of the game? And what are your thoughts in the comments below? And do you like the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney games? But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.
Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another video game review. So right off the bat, I just did a test recording, so I wasn't able to hear it too much, but I do have my fan going once again, and so if you do manage to hear it in the background, I do apologize, but it is pretty warm, so have it going for the time being so that I can cool off. But enough of that. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to step inside the courtroom one last time and join, at least for this trilogy, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But it's time to step inside the courtroom one last time for the time being and join everyone's favorite defense attorney, Phoenix Wright, for the final game in the original Ace Attorney trilogy, that being Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. And Phoenix and friends definitely go through that, to be sure, or definitely lives up to the namesake in more ways than one. But as always, I'm not professional uh, video game reviewer, video game analyst, video game critic, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys good time, and I must say I definitely had a pretty good time with this game. Finishing off the trilogy was quite the treat. Of course, if you haven't seen my previous Phoenix Wright video game reviews, both the one for the first game and then the one for Justice for All, definitely feel free to check those out before watching this one, or if you want to check them out later, or if you don't want to check them out at all, that is totally fine. It's up to you. But it's time to finish off the trilogy. So how will Phoenix Wright defend his clients this time, and what new endeavors will be gotten up to? Let's find out now. Of course, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, especially the previous two Phoenix Wright games as I mentioned, you kind of already know how this works. But if you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about the game, as well as providing a plot summary for the game. This is how it's laid out in the wiki, and it even says at the top, the events of Trials and Tribulations are told in a non-linear order. They are presented below chronologically, so we're going to go based off that. It's similar to the other games where you have 5 cases and you go through each case and everything, but the plot does jump around quite a bit. So technically, what we're starting off here with, because it's told chronologically, is technically the 4th case in the game. They quite a few flashbacks here, much more than the previous games, but. Anyway, let's go through it. So we see Mia Fey in her first trial. So we actually technically get to play as Mia Fey. A technically, this game, the entire trilogy, has you playing as Phoenix Wright the least amount of time. Phoenix Wright is still very much present, but you do get to play as other characters, including a very big surprise later on. Here's where we're starting. So Mia Fey, in her first trial, is paired up with her co-counsel Diego Armando from the defense office. She was supposed to have her mentor her with her, but instead Diego accompanies her. And they're tasked with defending death row inmate Terry Falls, who is being accused of murdering policewoman Valerie Hawthorne during an escape attempt. And so he was in prison, was on death row, and has escaped and is accused of killing Valerie Hawthorne. Mia manages to face a familiar foe for Phoenix, but also in his first case as prosecutor, Mr. Edgelord himself, Miles Edgeworth, or the very young Miles Edgeworth, who looks almost the same. He just has it on pretty much a different coat. Oh, and it's a different judge this time around. It's actually the main judge's brother, and he will make some appearances throughout this game, aka pretty much a palette swap of the regular judge, just with actual hair and a very different looking beard, his hockey beard as he calls it, and he even calls Phoenix a hoser in this game later on, but. Nevertheless, we learn throughout the trial that 5 years earlier, Terry, Valerie, and her younger sister Dahlia stage a kidnapping attempt to steal a jewel from Valerie and Dahlia's father. And to keep the jewel from themselves, Dahlia and Valerie betray Terry. They stage a fake kidnapping on a bridge, but Then they betray Terry by faking Dahlia's death so she can make off with the jewel. And Terry, unfortunately, he takes the blame, is convicted for Dahlia's murder, which is how he's on death row in the first place. But then Terry escaped so that he can learn the truth from Valerie about why he was betrayed. And to the point where he asks her to meet up with him and wear a white scarf so that he can confront her, and so he knows it's her, so he can confront her about how, hey, why did you betray me 5 years ago? But then, uh, Valerie, he sends a letter to Dahlia, pretty much saying, "Hey, hey, Terry's about to confront me. I'm gonna spill everything. I'm gonna snitch on you, pretty much, because Dahlia is kind of the mastermind behind most of not everything. And Dahlia then kills Valerie so that she doesn't spill the truth, and we're getting close to officially clearing Terry, but something really tragic happens, and Terry, he consume because he's madly in love with Dahlia. He consumes a poison that she gave to him years earlier. Or we're gonna learn that's a habit for Dahlia. He consumes it and he dies right there on the witness stand, which pretty much ends the trial without a resolution. And even for this game, that was like really dark, which is crazy. That they were willing to go there in terms of this case, but of course, Mia's very upset, uh, but Diego reminds her that, hey, you can't you can't cry until it's over, or you have to keep smiling and keep fighting your way through being a defense attorney. But afterwards, hurts Dahlia, then poisons and Diego. After her, he was essentially onto her. Like he meets with her and everything, and she poisons his coffee. Which coffee and Diego are going to go together quite a bit, as you're going to learn. But she poisons Diego, and he pretty much goes into a coma. So he misses quite a bit. And she then begins dating a university student by the name of Phoenix Wright. Yeah. So that's how Phoenix and becomes involved with Dahlia Hawthorne, and that actually leads us to the first trial of the game that we start off with Mia defending Phoenix. It's when he's being accused of killing uh, when he's being accused of killing fellow students, and Doug Swallow. Mia manages to expose that Dahlia killed killed Swallow at least. He's and exposing him and exposing her, I should say, for poisoning Diego. But it turns out she was also planning to kill Phoenix. As well. How she can get back the necklace that she gave him, and because that necklace contained the poison, essentially the evidence that she used to poison Diego. So Dahlia is arrested, convicted, sentenced to death. She actually stays on death row for a while before being killed. Well, that's going to be important for later. But even despite this, Phoenix still believes that Dahlia is innocent and still pretty much has a very strong feelings towards her. Uh, excuse me, has pretty strong feelings towards her. So, even in knowing that she tried to kill him, Phoenix still very madly in love with Dahlia, which is something that's going to come up later, as we'll see. But jumping forward to 5 years later, and her Mia is dead. And of course, if you remember, she dies in the first game. So Phoenix, of course, is the defense attorney, and it's pretty much mainly inspired um, I'll say mostly inspired by this game and his past with Edgeworth, but that was covered in previous games, to become a defense attorney. And of course, he was Mia's protege, and of course, Mia still comes to him from time to time by being channeled, well, usually through Maya and also through Pearls, which aka Profe, but nevertheless, we jump to present day, where Phoenix is defending Ron DeLite, who is being accused of which at first it gives a false sense of security that, hey, it's not a murder case for once. But as we'll see, this case turns out to be a murder case. But Phoenix is defending Ron DeLite, who is being accused of being the thief Mask to Mask. Yes, that's the actual name. It has a star in between it. It's it's a stage name. But Phoenix now has to go against a new prosecutor. It is cool that Phoenix gets a new prosecutor to face off against every game. The first game it was Miles Edgeworth. The next game it was Francisca de Karma, or Francisca von Karma, I should say. And now this game it's the mysterious Godot, who drinks a lot of coffee. He and I guess as a bit of a tangent, and I was going to save this for later, but I might as well bring it up now. 17 cups of coffee? 17 cups of coffee. Godot pretty much drinks, and I might, and maybe mispronouncing that, but Godot drinks 17 cups of coffee per case. He states it himself, and by the time the 17th cup is finished, that's usually when the trial is over. But 17 cups of coffee, my God, that is a lot of coffee. But we'll find out why Godot drinks all that coffee later on. But Phoenix manages to prove that the new private detective Luke Atme, yes, that's the actual name. Of course, Phoenix Wright known for the pun names, but Luke Atme is the real Mask to Mask. As unfortunately, it springs a trap card in a way. A Godot who then set and proves that Ron was not there to steal the artifact that was stolen, but instead he was busy at his old job, being a security guard, murdering his former boss Kane Bullard. So Phoenix clears Ron of one crime, but then subsequently accidentally gets his client wrapped up in another crime. But Phoenix does manage to piece together and pretty much show that Luke Atme was Bullard's murderer, her and he was trying to use double jeopardy to escape punishment and pretty much try to frame Ron for the theft or more so the murder. But Luke Atme, he turns out did both committed the theft and or at least hid the artifact and actually committed the murder. Or it turns out he pre-recorded himself stealing the artifact, um, as Phoenix managed to get his client freed, he'd and so we then move that's case 2. We then move on to case 3, where Phoenix is told that he supposedly Phoenix Wright failed to defend his former client Maggie Bird, heard against accusations of poisoning the programmer Glenn Elg. Which true to the pun name is actually just the word Glenn and spelled backwards and forwards. I forget the exact name of it. It's where the name is or the word is kind of the same backwards and forwards. Palindrome, I believe it is. I'm actually gonna look that up, but nevertheless, as Phoenix Hicks learns that he somehow accidentally he failed to defend Maggie, so he pretty much has to undo. Yeah, palindrome. the same forwards backwards. But Phoenix has to then prove Maggie's innocence and figure out who impersonated him and throughout his own investigation, of course, Phoenix gets the retrial, discovers that Elg was developing a computer virus that's on behalf of the loan shark Furio Tigre, a who bears a resemblance to Phoenix Wright in a way. Hey, first of all, I'm pretty sure you can see where this is going, but also, literally the joke, is that Furio Tigre literally looks nothing like Phoenix Wright, except for the spiky hair. Or otherwise, Furio Tigre is orange, like a tiger, or wears like wears like fancy shirts, and has a fake defense attorney badge, but nevertheless, as he manages to deduce and prove that Tigre killed El so he can steal the virus for himself, so he can repay a large debt to a mob boss. Which he got that debt by accidentally running into and injuring the mob boss's daughter, who now works as Tigre's assistant. But Phoenix manages to prove all that is, and Tigre, with probably one of the best breakdowns, pretty much going full animalistic, full tiger mode, which he also does throughout the entire case. He's very aggressive and everything, even scaring the judge. Uh, but uh, but he proves that Tigre actually killed he actually was the one who killed Glenn Elg, that is, and uh framed Phoenix, right, or impersonated Phoenix, right, so they can frame Maggie. But Phoenix Wright manages to do this is and prove Tigre's guilt in probably the most clutch way possible. Where at the last possible moment he gets Tigre to who accidentally admits it's the bottle of poison that was used, who's which is not hot which is not the actual bottle. So Phoenix has the bottle with him, but Tigre manages to accidentally slip up and reveal where the actual poison is and what the actual poison was. So he manages to get there, and then in the final case, because remember the fourth case is the beginning with Mia and Dahlia and Terry, in the final case, and this is really where things get super interesting. Like, the other cases are usually fun, but the last case is usually where issue really goes down. But in the last case, Phoenix goes to a a channeling mountain retreat with both Maya and Pearl, and is to help with their spirit channeling and everything, and something similar to that. But while there, a murder happens. Elise Dunim, I believe it's how it's pronounced. Man, Elise Dunim is murdered. But while Phoenix is going to look for Maya, he accidentally falls off a bridge. Falls through the bridge, into the water below. Which the bridge is struck by lightning, so it's burned, so it gives way, and Phoenix falls into the river below, somehow managing to survive. But while he's out, Edgeworth steps in. Yes, you actually get to play as Miles Edgeworth, which when that first happened, I was shook in like the best possible way. I was like, yes, let's freaking go. But Edgeworth is here, uh conducts his own investigation where he has to defend Iris, uh, uh, who is one of the nuns at the one of the nuns at the temple, where Maya and Pearl she's the defendant in this case because the head nun, Sister Bikini, as she calls herself, witnessed Iris killing Elise. So Edgeworth is defending her while Phoenix recovers, but Phoenix will be back soon. But yeah, so Edgeworth is forced to be a defense attorney, like he wanted to be when he was younger, before obviously being recruited by Von Karma and what happened to him and everything, and losing his father and everything. So now Edgeworth technically gets to fill the shoes and fulfill the destiny he was supposed to have in the first place, arguably. But nevertheless, it's also worth mentioning Iris looks a lot like Dahlia. Looks very, very similar to Dahlia Hawthorne. I'm pretty sure, again, I'm pretty sure you know where this is going, but nevertheless, as during the first day of the case and everything, and it's determined that that wasn't actually the murder spots and that wasn't actually the murder weapon where Sister Bikini saw everything. So now we gotta figure out what's really going on. Phoenix comes back. He discovers that Lise was actually Misty Faye, who is Maya's long lost mother, and Mia's long lost mother, and her being killed was the result of a plan and by Morgan Fay, who you may remember from the previous game, which is Pearl's mother. It was part of a plan to kill Maya, so that Pearl can pretty much become the Faye family head channeler. I forget the exact name of the term, but she also has help from the deceased Dahlia, who is being channeled, and is revealed that Dahlia is Iris's twin sister. Or yeah, so that's Morgan's daughter, Iris's twin sister, and thus Pearl's half sister. But Phoenix manages, through his cross examination and everything, manages to figure out that not only is Dahlia impersonating Iris, but that she's using Maya's body to be channeled to do so. And with the help of Mia, who goes into Pearl's body. If it was creepy in the first game, it's even more creepy in the second game. Whenever Maya channels Pearl's, only because she's very, very young, and that is something I am not touching with a 10-foot pole. But at least the commentary on that. But nevertheless, they managed to exorcise Dahlia, and she goes back to the underworld, hell, what have you, where she rightfully belongs, because we'll get to it. But Dahlia is exorcised from Maya, so she leaves Maya's body, and pretty much gets roasted by Mia. But we'll get to that. But then Maya is still forced to testify because Iris is technically not off the hook yet. But Phoenix finally figures out that Godot was the one who killed Misty. Who was channeling Dahlia in order to protect Maya, and that Godot really is Diego Armando, who was formerly Mia's assistant and her boyfriend at one time. I forgot to mention that. But Godot is revealed to be Diego, and the one who killed Misty. He and he pretty much has had it out for Phoenix this entire time. So what happened to Diego slash Godot was that after he got into his coma by ingesting the poison, then he was awoken from the smell of the doctor's coffee, which brought him back to life, and is why he loves coffee so much. And has pretty much vowed to get back at Phoenix ever since, because he blames Phoenix for the death of Mia because he failed to protect her. But after their cases battling one another, he definitely admits that Phoenix is a very worthy successor. He sees Mia and Phoenix literally side by side, like sees Mia's spirit right next to Phoenix, admits that he's been kind of deflecting blame, and excuse me, and trying to find someone to blame for her and Mia's death and everything that happened. And you do kind of feel for him. And like he was out for 5 years, and in that 5 years so much happened. But nevertheless, as Maya is cleared, Iris his did help drag Missy's body. He uh so she was an accomplice working with her sister to hide Misty's body and stage a fake murder and kind of in a way take the fall. All she used the Shatisto, aka like the giant sword that's held by the spirit or held by the statue of the spirit of Mystic Misty, I believe, to who stabbed Missy herself, which is kind of ironic. Like, Iris also does reveal that she did pose as Dahlia and was the one Phoenix dated in college, and that Iris tried to protect Phoenix from her sister. Or so Phoenix really, in a way, didn't really date Dahlia. He dated Iris. As he did meet Dahlia, course, and that's how the relationship began. But he did technically date Iris, so it's kind of weird. But at the same time, at the same time, Dahlia does hate Phoenix's guts, so that sucks. But nevertheless, everybody happy essentially. And then and and uh and everybody celebrates hates Maya, Pearl, whole Gumshoe is here again, and Von Karma, Edgeworth, all of them do celebrate as the game ends. So quite the wild ride when it comes to this game. So in terms of what I liked and disliked about the game, starting with what I liked, not too much changes from the previous game. Which means nothing really changed from the first game. So, all the mechanics are the same, pretty much. That's just the second game introduced the Magmata, which allows you to break the cycle locks and get more information and pretty much expose people for lying. Imagine if you had something like that in real time, but then and this game doesn't really introduce anything new, so it's kind of the same gameplay from the previous game. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because the gameplay is still relatively fun, pretty much following that same visual novel style where it's mostly about the plot and the gameplay is kind of secondary. So because of that, I can't really harp on it too much. But now getting to the story of the game, it kind of has what made the previous two games pretty fun and pretty engaging in terms of story. It has its funny moments, it has its emotional moments as well. Godot and his arc, or Godot, however it's truly pronounced, but maybe I'll find out once I finally get around to watching the Ace Attorney anime, which is on Crunchyroll. So, I'm probably going to be occupied with that coming up soon. But Godot, such an interesting character, or seeing his mystery, and then you find out exactly who it is they kind of take well, actually I'll get into it because it's kind of one of my dislikes, but seeing his arc through the game for the most part is really cool. And like I said, I do like how it's a new prosecutor every time, even though Edgeworth and Von Karma do show up in this game. But Godot is mysterious enough and speaks in a lot of riddles, which kind of makes him a very interesting character. And it's a character you do want to beat. Of course, you wanna be the hero, you want to be Phoenix, right? You want to believe in your clients and everything. But he's also very engaging in terms of character, and his theme music, a lot of people has pointed out, is very nice. It's very good, but also very tragic once you learn what truly happens to him. So you kind of do feel for him, even though he turns out to be a murderer. And kind of keeping the theme of coffee consistent throughout his character is really cool as well. But 17 cups of it per case is, my goodness, that is excessive. And now, look, I love coffee, right? I absolutely adore coffee. Coffee is delicious. I've even drunk a coffee on System Shock Radio before, but that was way back when. But 17 cups of it, and it turns out he has 17 cups with breakfast as well. That's 34 cups per per day for like the trials and everything. Diego, are you sure? Are you sure it was the poison that caused you to lose your eyesight? That's another part of the character, which I actually forgot to mention, is Godot. His vision is very messed up, and it does so he does wear the helmet with like the cool little lights, which turns out do glow in the dark, which also ends up being his downfall. In the last case, when it's revealed he's the one who killed Misty, because she was going to kill Maya. But yeah, I would not have 34 cups in a day. Hey, I think the most I drink is like maybe one or two per day. Hey, and sometimes I even go without coffee. Like I love coffee, but man, I do not love coffee that much. But even his like metaphors and references to coffee, which it is worth noting. After the last case, he says the last cup of coffee he drank, which he actually shares a cup with Phoenix, says it's the best coffee he's ever had. Now that he sees Phoenix as the worthy successor, or so. Uh, Godot's mannerisms and how he is as a person, and really cool, really endearing to see. And he is pretty funny, especially when he like launches the cups of coffee at Phoenix. But but yeah, so Godot is pretty engaging a in terms of a prosecutor. In terms of the ranking, where I rank Edgeworth, Von Karma, and Godot in terms of the main the main prosecutors. I'm not counting uh I'm not counting the tutorial prosecutor, which admittedly, yeah, I'm kind of trying to fake it, but I can't. His name's escaping me at the moment, unfortunately. He, but but in terms of prosecutors, there's I don't know. It's actually kind of hard to rank. And now that I think about it, I think I might go. I think I might go Edgeworth, then Godot, then Von Karma, maybe. But admittedly, that's kind of I might have to put some more thought into it, and maybe I'll do this as a separate video. Oh, if you guys really want to see that, please let me know. But yeah, so Godot, there. Otherwise, has a lot of the stuff that works they carry over from the previous games, which is good to see. And to see how things wrap up in a bow. And I do like how, compared to the other games, which the other games had a level of this as well. Oh, but especially in this game, and all the cases really feel connected in one way or another. Except for like, excuse me, except for like the murder at Trace Gwinnett. Which I haven't commented on John Armstrong, and I'm really not going to. All I'll say is it was kind of a different time back then. But aside from that and the mask to mask case, to see the cases really connected, like directly connected, it was really cool to see. It adds really that uh had really adds that sense of continuity to everything. And whereas the previous games, the cases were connected in a way, but were connected a bit more loosely up until like the last case. But we see them connected a lot more definitively in this game, which is really good to see. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't really like this game as much as the other games, and I kind of understand that. But at the same time, I'm uh, I'm it was really cool to see how things were connected in terms of that. Seeing Edgeworth's kind of arc going from kind of being very much at odds to Phoenix to respecting him a lot more, than to even stepping into him, and you see really how their friendship evolves. I think was really cool. In the game, and so seeing Edgeworth's arc from within the games was really cool as well. Even though Karma had a little bit of an arc, she's not as aggressive as she was in the previous game, that being Justice for All. She's a bit more sweet this time around, which is really nice to see. But seeing how everything unfolds and stuff like that was really cool to see. Like, hey, they carry over stuff from the previous games. I know I've said that a lot, but that's kind of the main theme for this game, is carrying over stuff from the other games, but really really adding to it, really improving upon it in a way as well. So that's really cool to see. In terms of what I didn't quite like as much about this game, and also something else I liked, of course, the music. Hey, the music is still very nice this time around. We have new themes for like the cross examinations uh and the and when you have them like corner where you're getting closer to solving everything. Admittedly, don't quite like them as much as the other games. That's kind of just a personal preference from me, but they're still really good. But in terms of what I didn't quite like about the game is that at the end, and especially the last case, when it comes to who Godot really is like they kind of you kind of notice throughout the game they take kind of the breadcrumbs approach to it, where little by little, like, okay, this guy has a grudge with Phoenix Wright. Okay, this Diego guy looks kind of like Godot a little bit. And oh, okay, now the last case, everything is revealed. But they do kind of hit you with it a lot at once. It's stuff where you're supposed to kind of connect the dots, but they kind of hit you with it kind of all at once. And Godot being the killer kind of comes a little bit out of nowhere. Where it's kind of supposed to be, you can tell it's kind of supposed to be one of those oh moments, especially when they reveal that Godot wasn't actually out like they said he was. He wasn't actually in a different country like they say he was, but he was actually at the mountain, ready to defend Maya and help her out. But 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 I feel like it was a bit. It did kind of come almost a little bit out of nowhere, or at least for me. Maybe that's more of an indictment on me, and I'm fully okay with that. And I know I'm not always the sharpest tool in the shed, um, but yeah. So there was that aspect that kind of took you out of it a little bit. Is but otherwise, still really great game, really great way to end off the trilogy, and I'm glad I finally got around to playing this trilogy. But that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on those post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you never miss an upload. And let me know in the comment section below what are your thoughts on this game, my review of the game. Do you like the game? Do you like dislike my review of the game? Let me know. And what is your favorite game in the original Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy? Excuse me. And I'm thinking about continuing things with Apollo Justice and later on the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, but that is something for another time. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Okay, so I was content on just ending the review there. But great googly moogly, there was a lot I missed. Yes, there's a lot we still have to talk about. 30 plus minutes, almost 40 minutes of initial recording, and there's still so much I missed. So, let's go through everything I missed. For starters, I wanted to talk more about Dahlia's character, because I didn't really do that. Forget Mariah May in AEW. Dahlia Hawthorne is the real woman from hell. She is absolutely evil. Like, all the stuff she tries to do in this game. Almost murdering Phoenix, it's pretty much murdering her own sister, or trying to pin her own twin sister from covering up the murder. Or trying to kill Maya. Like, hey, Dahlia is just evil to the core. How could something so sweet and so beautiful turn out to be so evil? And I get it. That's kind of the oxymoron. That's kind of the whole point. But man, she is. But it does make her a very kind of interesting, compelling villain, and you want to root for her downfall so much. It's like when Maya roasts her, saying that Dahlia can't do anything right and she can't really be evil properly. It is so well deserved and so justified. The second thing I wanted to bring up is Victor Kudo from the third case. The old man who was the witness, who they staged the murder for so that Furio Tigre could get away with killing Glenn Elg, and that Maggie could be framed for it. Man, I really like this guy. Like, look, respect your elders, but this guy being an annoying pervy old man, and even more so than Roshi, which no offense to my Dragon Ball Z fans, and Roshi, I'm sure is a very good guy. I've never actually really watched Dragon Ball Z, but I'm sure Roshi's a very good guy compared to Victor Kudo. Man, I didn't like him. Like, I know we technically had to offer him an apology because he testified what he witnessed, and we poked holes through it, even though that's exactly what he witnessed because the initial murder of Glenn Elk was staged. But no, I'm not apologizing. Screw that guy. And in a way, screw Larry Butts. If it smells, it must be the butts. But now, Larry Butts kind of comes through in the end, and we see him at first being a security guard alongside Ma- Master Mask, or the person who we suspect to be Hask that being, or that they suspect to be Hask that being Ronda Light, but I get Ronda Light, Mask to Mask. Clever. But but he is kind of annoying in this game. At least in like the last couple games, it was more endearing. Here, it's kind of annoying. Not even gonna talk about some of the other comments that were made by Larry, but he did capture what he thought was Iris flying, which cool, but yeah, yeah. I almost said Luke. Larry, he uh, he is kind of wear on me throughout the course of this game. So it was pretty annoying there. The other thing was that they kind of explore more of uh Morgan and her trying to take down on Misty, and they kind of explore that dynamic. I think adding that layer to everything was pretty nice, and a nice touch to add more depth to the character and everything for the game. So I think that was a very nice touch. But and I think that was just about everything else in terms of story that I need to cover. Yeah, yeah. I hope I got everything this time. Hopefully there's not too much more that I missed. Yes, I do like the references to Wendy Oldbag from the second game, more specifically from the second game with like her astronaut helmet and stuff like that. That stuff is pretty cool. But so I'll end off with this. The last thing I want to do before we officially close out this video. This is for you, Godot. Not the best cup of coffee I've ever tasted in my life. It's not to that level, but it is pretty damn good. All right, hey, that is going to do it. Sorry I missed so much, and truth be told, there's probably still stuff I'm missing. If I am, I do apologize. As I could blame the wiki for not including every single thing, but uh, you know what? Only a poor craftsman blames his tools. Well, but thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace. There, there's one more thing. I promise I usually don't do this. If you're watching this for the first time, I promise I usually don't do this. I usually kick myself for the stuff I forget afterwards. But I have to acknowledge the goggles more for Godot. The fact that because his eyesight is messed up, he can't see the color red, which is a crucial part of the story. It's how he misses the blood on Maggie Bird's apron, and during the third case, it's how he misses the blood in the snow, and the word Maya being written by the dying Misty Faye. Hey, on hey in the excuse me on in the fifth and final case. So Godot not being able to see the color red is very much another part of the character. And the fact that at the end he pretty much cries blood because he can't probably cry tears because his eyes are so messed up. Oh, that was also incredibly sad as well. Just everything about the characters. It's so much. They do throw a lot at you to the point where I'm forgetting stuff. Although I was probably gonna forget that. I was probably gonna do that anyway. I should say. But yeah. Hopefully that's the last one. Hopefully I really didn't forget anything else. Like I said, usually don't do this. Now we're done. Thank you all so much for watching. See you guys later. Peace.